change your mind, if you change your mind.
With this episode taking place before we see the return of Lars, not to mention Steven and Connie reuniting in the poorly developed way possible, I have to admit that if this episode didn't happen, then the reunite scene of Lars and Sadie wouldn't even work, mainly of how this episode sums up a lot that Sadie gets just almost the right amount of development, knowing full well that she and Lars ended up getting more development than all of the Beach City citizens. Sadie had been doing so much work shifts due to Lars being away, all the while dealing with the fact that she has a dead-end job at the Big Donut. And since that Steven is starting to perform a band with the cool kids, this gave Sadie an idea for what she can do, considering that Steven and the cool kids are having a difficult time finding the perfect sound in order to perform. The following day, they go to Sadie's place when she's not working, and they watch horror movies, which they actually got the sound for how Sadie sings about her life, and to tell you the truth, when it came to the song itself, it sums up a lot that this episode is really important when it comes to Lars' development that we've seen in the episode that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. The song The Walking Dead sums up a lot that Sadie can't stand her dead-end job, but at the same time, she always thinks of how her job still means much due to the life that she has, and to tell you the truth, for how her development in Sadie's song sums up a lot that even when she tries to make her own decisions, it's still difficult for her to actually move forward with that decision, considering that no one is in her way. Well, you can say that Steven and the cool kids are mostly in her way, but at the same time, they're not really when they really wanted her to perform in their band, with them having the right sound to their newer songs that they're going to be singing. To be honest with you guys, for how the cool kids were developed in this episode, along with Sadie having her moments later on in the season, I have to admit that people were a little harsh towards this episode. And while I did say that there were elements that really drag out for way too long, that overshadowed elements when it comes to other characters, mainly the gem invasion or the diamond invasion that's gonna happen in the Reunited episode, the way I see it, it really feels like that these episodes are mostly important when it comes to the types of developments from other characters. And when it came to the Male Dewey episodes from this season, I really felt like that, even though that episode was out at bad timing, I really felt like that it would have happened either way, but it would have had a better direction than just having Connie just putting Steven in the dark, because that's literally all I think of when it came to that episode. And when it came to this episode, Sadie hanging out with the cool kids isn't anything like how Lars hung out with the cool kids from season 1, considering that she takes her life seriously, unlike Lars. And as far as I'm concerned, for how Sadie just wants to make things better for herself, at the very least, her thing about keeping her dead-end job sums up a lot that she just wants to focus on having a healthier life, but at the same time, it will also be boring. And believe me, knowing full well that this is the episode where it kind of indicates of how Lars will have been like when he becomes a hero of the galaxy along with the off-colors, it just makes me want to see how Lars would feel if Steven had to line with him and just coming back to him to see what he's doing with. Because believe me, that is one of my biggest problems that I have with the episode that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So the fact that this episode had something that a potential episode should happen made me understand that this episode was important, in a different point of view. Believe me, even though that it's difficult to get over the fact that there are potential ideals to make season 5 better, at the very least, this episode isn't really much of an issue, knowing full well that it sums up a lot that Sadie is trying to move forward, while in the following episode, while it has the same message, it's just difficult for me to understand the point of view, considering that I'm still thinking about Steven and Connie's separation that really didn't flesh out well and not really better developed when it came to the direction that it had. And to tell you the truth, watching this episode during that time just didn't work out. And believe me, I would probably give this episode a lot more negativity thinking about Steven and Connie. Then again, it's somewhat hypocritical considering that people wanted to see elements involving the diamonds and gems, but for me personally, I would probably say for a fact that the whole separation between Steven and Connie during this time really derailed the development of Laws, which for me personally gave me a different point of view of this episode now than back then. I'm actually looking forward to the big show episode later on in the season for about the next few days or so, because I actually found that episode a lot more interesting, and I was planning on including it in my Beach City episodes video that I ended up scrapping. Believe me, it sums up that even episodes from season 5 can make it to the list, and I really feel like that the big show sums up a lot that we're reaching to a conclusion along with the characters, even though the development didn't need to be rushed despite the circumstances. I'm giving this episode a 7.5 out of 10.